Good morning, everyone. My name is Raquel, and I'm here joined by Chris. We're here from Procore. I'm going to give you a presentation on our platform. Procore is an all-in-one platform that includes unlimited users, unlimited support, and unlimited data storage, built for the construction industry, for general contractors, owners, specialty contractors, and everybody that interacts with the project. We're built off of a platform that allows you to connect with our marketplace. We have over 300 applications that you can connect into Procore, giving you the flexibility of running all of your processes under one space. Here's our construction platform. We have a range of tools ranging from the pre-construction process into the project management day-to-day activities, into financials, which ties into the major ERPs, and then finally, the resource management to interact with the self-performing either subcontractors or general contractors. This platform is overlaid by our analytics tool, supported by our training center and certification centers. I'm going to go ahead and do a product demonstration right now. The Procore Platform, as you can see here, is a web-based application with native iOS and Android devices, tools that allow you to interact with that unlimited user license into Procore. So when you first log into your Procore Platform, you see all of your projects under your portfolio. Here you're able to understand what is currently ongoing, if you have any projects outstanding, or any activities within those projects. With interactive dashboards, you're able to quickly identify any overdue or ball and court items that are assigned to you or your project teams. So right here, you're starting to see the health of the project. You start seeing all of your RFIs, all of your submittals, schedule items, or any deficiencies assigned to the project team. And then you can start understanding anything in red, which will be overdue, yellow coming up in the next week, and then green left for the remainder of the project. You can click into any of these and get more information as to who's assigned this item and what that item is about. In addition to that, ranging into our financials tools, we start being able to understand the project health from a financial perspective. So with that integration with your ERP system, you're able to get live data into your project and starting to understand costs to date as it references to your original estimate into the project. Ultimately giving you one central platform to really oversee your Procore, your health of your project. I'm going to jump into your project and we're going to do a BIM demonstration and tie it back into some of the submittals processes.
So one of the things that Raquel mentioned is that Procore has a mobile application, which essentially allows you to access all of the same tools directly from a mobile device. So really connecting your field to the office and allowing you to use those tools through the entire life cycle of a project. So from the pre-construction stages through the course of construction into closeout, and then essentially managing those assets post-construction. So when we look at this mobile application that you're looking at right here, you'll see that same list of tools that we had available to us on the web. But this is now going to be providing those tools to the individuals in the field and really unlocking the potential of what they have access to while they're doing their job on site. Now, a good example of that is actually looking at our models tool. So Procore actually has the ability to pull in BIM design models early on in that pre-construction stage to essentially unlock the accessibility of 3D models to your construction team. So typically in the pre-construction stages, these BIM models are really contained by the designers. There's a challenge on making sure that the rest of the project team has visibility and access to this information. With Procore's unlimited users model, we're essentially able to take this model and put it into the hands of the individuals who are actually building those buildings or projects that they're working on. In this case, we're looking at a specific model, and Procore actually has the ability to tie these models to the different drawing sets as well. So in the top left-hand corner, by understanding where we are on the drawings, Procore can actually allow us to jump to the different levels or locations that we've identified on the drawings. Simply zoom in to a specific area, select with our finger, through a point and click and drag where we want to actually look at in that particular model. Procore will then jump to that location on the 3D model, where the individual could then use the joysticks to look around and visualize the 3D space as it's being constructed. They can analyze different views by toggling off certain features, like architectural features, structural features, HVAC, depending on how that model has been set up. Or alternatively, they can actually drill into the model and look at specific details related to the functionality built into that model. An example here is if I pull up a 2D plan or a dynamic elevation drawing of that specific wall, I can start to use tape measure functionality to measure things like the distance from penetrations in that wall to potentially structural components, and make sure that essentially what I'm constructing on site, I have the visibility and access to directly in that digital format. Now going back to the model itself, one of the things that you'll also notice is that these joysticks can be used to actually walk through the model, so making sure that you can access the areas that you're specifically worried about. But we also have the ability to do an orbital view. So as I'm looking in the different locations, Procore is actually picking up where I would be looking in the digital space and providing me that visibility as it's potentially being constructed. Now, that last piece that I mentioned is that the information housed within these models can also tie back into the rest of the Procore solution. So when I look at specific items that may be found within that model, as a constructor on site, I need more details related to these items. If I were to click on that fire extinguisher cabinet, understand the information related to that cabinet, what the details are, I can also drill into the other areas of Procore to make sure that I have the approved or reviewed and approved information related to what actually needs to be installed in that location. And that takes us into our submittals tool, which Raquel is going to go through back on the web application here.
So when you get your initial set of specs for that fire extinguisher, the first thing you're going to do is going through the specs and identify what submittals are needed in regards to that fire extinguisher. So I'm going to go into my specialties spec code and identify my fire extinguishers. With the Procore capabilities, we're able to generate the submittal register out of that spec book. So we're looking into the fire protection cabinets. I then can generate a submission register. Procore or OCR's technology will go into the spec, identify all the submittals, and then pre-populate that submittal register for us into the submittals tool. So you can see here how the technology has gone into my fire extinguishers spec section 1004 and identified 3 action submittals: my product data, my product schedule, and my operations and maintenance manual that is according to that fire extinguisher we were looking at in the 3D model. So we go into the submittals and find that already created extinguisher. We can apply a workflow and automatically from that spec take us into that workflow of requesting it from the, in our case, specialty contractor in charge of the fire extinguisher protection, requesting those documents, assigning a due date, and ensuring that the lead dates are accounted for and that that piece of equipment or that piece of material is going to be on site by the time required. Those balling cords, those due dates at Procore help you stay on top of those processes. So Emma from our flame and fire protection has already submitted that document, and now it's my turn to review that process. So I'm going to go ahead and open that submittal document sent to us. I'm going to see all of the information that they've generated and they've suggested. And I'm going to approve and stamp it and pass it on to the next stage of workflow. So we can go down here and identify everything that's been highlighted, review it, make any notes, and utilizing a stamp feature, we can take that stamp and take it into every page or just a selected section of my submittal and sign off on it. So add in my review, put in my name, that automatically saves right onto Procore, and upon closing, it will have that marked up document into my stage of workflow. So I've taken that submittal from my flame and fire protection trade, identified all of the notes that I needed to do, apply a stamp if I need to, make any red line marks, any comments, anything that I need to do, and I'm going to respond whether it's approved and it can move to the next stage of workflow, or do I need more information from them. So I'm going to say approved as noted with a stamp. And it's going to tell me that the next person in workflow, which is my MEP consultant, will be the one required to provide an approval for that stage. So now that submittal moves through the process seamlessly, and all of your information stays in one platform. So you have your model with all of the information, you identify that cabinet, you can jump into the Procore platform and identify where's that submittal, whose ball and court is it with, and is it meant to be on site at the right time. In addition to our platform, we also have, as we mentioned, our analytics tool that allow you to oversee the information from a holistic perspective with interactive dashboards built out of Power BI, in which you would be able to identify all of the submittals that are currently in process, anything that's late, anything that's outstanding, and Chris is going to demonstrate that.
So as Raquel was showing you here, this submittals tool is one of the functionalities. Obviously, we do have that capability around RFIs, observations, tons of other different deliverables that are tracked within the system. And directly within Procore, as Raquel was showing you previously, as those items are created in real time, we have the ability to see those different deliverables as they're being tracked directly on the solution. So looking at which items are overdue, which items may be due in the next 7 days, or which items may be due beyond 7 days out. Essentially, Procore is consolidating that information for you in real time so that you always have that real-time visibility into where those deliverables sit and which items may be causing those potential challenges on your projects, like cost overruns or schedule delays. Now, this sort of reporting capability within Procore is, again, something that's going to be updating in real time, so you always have that confidence in your data that you're looking at a real-time representation of where things stand. But Procore Analytics is essentially what's going to allow you to take those insights one step further and gain insights from that data to proactively make changes on your projects so that you can make those adjustments before they become problematic. So switching tabs here, we'll take you over into one of our project reports, which is referred to as Project Insights. And essentially what you'll see here is that same product line broken down on the left-hand side. So looking at your RFIs, potentially your submittals, punch items, all the different deliverables that may be specific to your particular project. And you immediately have insight into things like where those items stand, how many are potentially open or late on your project. And this has that drill down capability, which allows you to focus in on areas that may be problematic and make sure that you're identifying those areas, again, proactively before they become an issue on your project. Now in this particular report, you'll see that we're looking at overarching project insights with some information related to your project budget. Along the bottom here, Procore has over 300 pre-built reports, which have been built off of customer feedback. So essentially built off of the industry understanding of what KPIs or key performance indicators are most important to them. That allows us to drill into certain aspects. So for example, if I pull up our project status report, where we get more granular visibility into specific deliverables on that project, as well as some financial details, depending on what you're leveraging Procore for. Now in this case, we're looking across an entire portfolio, which could range from 5 projects or assets. It could range for up to 500 to 1,000, whatever you might need. And obviously in those capacities, you have that requirement to essentially filter that data down so that it can be presented to you in a way that makes the most sense for your business. On the right-hand side, that's where we have the ability to leverage Procore's filters. So each of Procore's projects can be characterized with a number of different metrics. What region are they in? What office is managing them? Who is the project manager on those projects? And those become filterable metrics that you can leverage within Procore to drill into those root challenges or causes on your projects to make sure that you know what the root causes of those issues are. Obviously, we have that all the way down to the individual project level. So if you wanted to look at a specific project that you are interested in, you have that capability to select that project. Or alternatively, these reports, which are leveraging a SQL data format and Power BI's analytics functionality, actually allows you to have drill down capabilities. So if I were to look at that submittals tool again, and actually drill through those open submittals, Procore will take me to a similar report that's now getting more granular related to those specific submittals. So in this case, I have a list of now all of my open submittals across my entire portfolio. I have key performance indicators along the top to show me which ones are late and what my average days late are. We could take this one step further and start to understand those collaborators, architects, engineers, or consultants who are working on these submittals. What's the average response time of each individual consultant that we're working with? Maybe do we want to try working with somebody else in the future based on their response times? Again, when we get into these details, we can then start to filter down even further. So if I wanted to look at maybe all of the submittals that are actually late on my projects, I can simply click that filter to identify only the late submittals and get that visibility into how many days late are these specific submittals that I'm looking at. Now, because Procore is a connected platform here, the submittals that we start to analyze then also have the ability to link back into the system. So as we identify those issues, and again, we're sort of staying consistent with this example of submittals specifically, but this could be change orders, understanding the root cause of change orders, where your major overages are, and things of that nature. Procore has the ability to then tie this back directly into Procore, so that if you wanted to click on these URLs here, it will take you directly back into the system and provide you that access to be able to drill into the details of that particular submittal and make sure you understand where does that sit in the workflow, who is responsible for responding to that item, and what can I do as a follow-up. Now keep in mind, I always mention that Procore gives you this visibility to essentially enhance your ability to follow up with those individuals, notify them when things might be slipping through the cracks on their behalf. But Procore also has automatic notifications built into the platform. So when things like submittals, change orders, or anything of that nature goes into somebody's ball in court, what we refer to as sort of their responsibility for actioning on it, they're going to be receiving email notifications, which holds them accountable to actioning on those items by the due dates that you set forth within the platform. That's essentially what's going to give you the control and visibility into all those different items that you're tracking for the projects, making sure that you have those efficient workflows so that the individuals involved in those items are responding in due time to the items that you've created. And then more than ever, making sure that, again, you always have that pulse at whatever level you stand in the project to make sure that you can action on those items proactively before they become problematic. Now, obviously, when Raquel was showing you sort of Procore's product listings, Procore is a very robust platform, which, as we were saying, covers the entire life cycle from project management during pre-construction through the course of construction and then closeout as well, giving you the ability to manage things like permit applications, design coordination processes into the course of construction aspects, and then subsequently managing your budgets, potentially from that original estimate where you have that C-level estimate, understanding a general idea of what that project might cost, all the way through to a granular Class A budget broken down by the individual 16 divisions. When we go through sort of examples like submittals, potentially our BIM understanding, this is simple tools, but Procore's connected platform ties all this information together. So making sure when you're tracking things like submittals, you have visibility into lead time or delivery due dates on site. If you're tracking things like RFIs and potential cost changes, you can understand how that may impact change orders or budget changes on your projects. And then subsequently, when you have that information collected in the system, you can leverage a solution like Procore Analytics to improve your post-mortem analysis of your projects. Understand where those challenges came up and how you can make adjustments for future projects to avoid those challenges in the future and essentially have a better bottom line on your projects. Again, as I was saying, we've really just touched the surface. We went through sort of two tools here to give you an idea of Procore's functionality and the general foundation of Procore. There's a lot more to cover, but we're also here to answer any questions or potentially allow you to set up a time with a little bit more of a close-knit setting specific to your business to go through certain functionality if that's your interest of you.